Good afternoon. This is the midday news on Rajya Sabha television. All of the developing news stories at the top of one coming up ahead, including all the news from Parliament. I'm Ashwarya Kapoor. Let us start with the headlines. Union Minister Ramvilas Paswan takes oath as Rajya Sabha member. Upper House to discuss J&K Reservation Amendment Bill 2019 and Homeopathy Central Council Amendment Bill 2019. Lok Sabha to take up the Central Educational Institutions Reservation in Teachers Cadres Bill 2019 and the Dentists Amendment Bill 2019. "34 killed as the bus falls into gorge in Jammu and Kashmir's Kishtwar district. Prime Minister Narendra Modi calls the accident heart-wrenching. Home Minister Amit Shah condoles the deaths. Central government to launch Jal Shakti Abhiyaan in 255 water-stressed districts today. In his second edition of Mann Ki Baat program, Prime Minister Modi calls for a mass movement to conserve water. Annual Amarnath Yatra starts with a 5-tier security cover. Over 1.5 lakh pilgrims to undertake the holy trip. 300 additional companies of security forces deployed along 2 routes for the 46-day Yatra. And in cricket, Team India taste first defeat as England keep their semi-finals hopes alive, beat India by 31 runs. Captain Kohli admits team was not clinical with the bat. Sri Lanka to take on West Indies at Chesterley Street today. First up, news on the budget session of Parliament, and as the Rajya Sabha convened this morning, LJP leader and Union Minister Ramvilas Paswan took oath as a Rajya Sabha MP. Paswan was elected to the upper house unchallenged from Bihar.
प्रतिज्ञान करता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा तथा जिस पद को मैं ग्रहण करने वाला हूं उसके कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक निर्वहन करूंगा।
दुर्घटना की ओर
मैं रामविलास पासवान
बीते दिनों
जो राज्यसभा का
Manoj Kumar Jha raised the issue of 15 workers killed in the wall collapse in Pune last week. Replying to this, the Union Minister Prakash Javadekar informed the House that the builder has been arrested. He added that the compensation of 5 lakh rupees has been announced for the families of those killed in the accident.
जो इसमें 2 जख्मी हॉस्पिटल में है और जिनका ऑपरेशन हो रहा है आज, तो उनकी भी मुलाकात की। इसमें दोनों बिल्डर्स जो है रिस्पॉन्सिबल, उनको गिरफ्तार किया है। सभी क्षेत्रों के एक्सपर्ट और अधिकारियों की कमेटी नियुक्त की है और ये सारे बॉडीज जो थे वो एयरफोर्स के स्पेशल फ्लाइट से वहाँ पहुँचे हैं और सबको जो 5-5 लाख रुपए की राशि देना है उसके लिए भी उनके वही के कलेक्टर, बिहार के कलेक्टर्स को बताया गया है कि जल्दी नाम ऑथेंटिकेट करके भेजे ताकि उनके यहाँ
जनरल मंत्री जी जनरल
पॉलिसी इसमें ये है कि ये एकदम सच है कि खासकर मजदूर जो काम करते हैं कंस्ट्रक्शन पर, उनके रख रखाव के नियम और कड़ाई करनी चाहिए और मैं भी अधिकारियों के साथ वहाँ भी मीटिंग करूँगा, लेकिन संबंधित मंत्रालय को भी हम लिखेंगे।
And Congress MP Jairam Ramesh asked about the present level of forest cover in the country, and replying to the question, Javadekar said that the government is taking stock of the same.
There are over 10,000 glaciers in the Indian side of the Himalayan ecosystem. Some glaciers like the Siachen may well be advancing, while some others like Gangotri Glacier may be retreating but at a slower rate. But it is beyond doubt that the overwhelming majority of the Himalayan glaciers are losing their ice. In recent days, sir, and this is what prompts the 0 hour, in recent days, Media all over the world has headlined a study based on American spy satellite data that reveals that the rate of melting of numerous Himalayan glaciers has doubled during the last 15 years as compared to the previous 15 years.
And important bills are lined up in today's agenda in the upper house. Let's take a look at them. The Jammu and Kashmir Reservation Amendment Bill 2019 will be moved for consideration and passing in the Rajya Sabha today. The bill was passed in the Lok Sabha by a voice vote on Friday, and it will be moved by Home Minister Amit Shah in the upper house. The Jammu and Kashmir Reservation Amendment Bill 2019 amends the Jammu and Kashmir Reservation Act 2004 and replaces an ordinance issued by the previous government. The Act provides for reservation in appointment and admission in state institutions for the SCs, STs and OBCs, and it also includes people residing in areas adjoining the international border within the ambit of reservation. And Amit Shah will also move a resolution seeking extension of President's rule in Jammu and Kashmir for another 6 months, beginning 3rd of July. The resolution was also passed in the Lok Sabha last week. Also, the Homeopathy Central Council Amendment Bill 2019 is listed in today's agenda of the upper house. The bill was passed by the Lok Sabha on Thursday. Now, this bill amends the Homeopathy Central Council Act 1973, and it seeks to extend the period of reconstitution of the Central Council from an existing period of 1 year to 2 years. And Ayush Minister Shripad Yeso Nayak will move the bill today. All right, our colleague Panchanan Mishra is now joining us live from Parliament. A very good afternoon, Panchanan. So, we saw key issues raised during 0 hour. Of course, there was a talk on acute water crisis in the country. There was an issue of climate change. But speaking about the legislative agenda, Panchanan, of course, Amit Shah will move the Jammu and Kashmir Reservation Amendment Bill 2019 to be taken into consideration and passed. And there is also another bill, that is the Homeopathy Central Council Amendment Bill 2019. That will be considered and passed by the upper house today?
Exactly, Aishwarya, you said it rightly that the major issues raised in during question are like climate change, AN32, plane crash, and also the environmental issues was raised. And very good question hour was there, and also many issues was raised in 0 hour also in Rajya Sabha. But post lunch there will be a crucial bill and also statutory resolution on Jammu and Kashmir. Both are related to Jammu and Kashmir. In one that there will be 3% reservation provision. The people, the citizens who are living alongside of the international border, that will provide the reservation to these peoples. The bill is already passed by the Lok Sabha. And in second, the extension of President's rule, which is ending on 3rd of July in Jammu and Kashmir, which will also be discussed as a statutory resolution, which will be placed by Home Minister Amit Shah, and there will be a discussion on it. And as we saw that in Lok Sabha, when there was a discussion on it, then many parties has raised the issue of Jammu and Kashmir, and Amit Shah has said that since in the last of this year, there elections, assembly elections may be happen. So we have to see that what kind of debate there will be, but certainly the major issues of Jammu and Kashmir will be discussed in this debates.
Absolutely. So post-lunch session, key bills related to Jammu and Kashmir are going to come up in the upper house. So stay with us. We'll just come back to you, Panchanan. Meanwhile, several bills are also listed in the Lok Sabha as well. Union Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank will move for consideration and passing the Central Educational Institutions Reservation in Teachers Cadre Bill 2019 today. Now, this bill aims to fill up more than 7,000 existing vacancies by direct recruitment in accordance with the new quota system. And this bill will replace the Central Educational Institutions Reservation in Teachers Cadres Ordinance 2019. The bill was introduced in the Lok Sabha last week. And also, the Dentists Amendment Bill 2019 is listed in today's agenda for consideration and passing. This bill amends the Dentists Act 1948, and the amendment will help restructure the dental councils, and the representation of the central government members as well as elected members would no longer be made mandatory in the dental councils. And the bill was also introduced in the Lok Sabha last week. Meanwhile, 4 MPs moved adjournment motion notice in Lok Sabha over different issues today. Leader of Congress in the lower house, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, gave an adjournment motion notice on the reduction of interest rate in small savings schemes, while his fellow Congress leader, Ranveer Singh Bittu, gave a notice urging the government not to replace the old artifacts and items in the makeover process of a Jallianwala Bagh museum. And IUML MP Mohammad Bashir gave an adjournment motion notice in the Lok Sabha over the incident of mob lynching in Jharkhand. And DMK MP TR Balu moved an adjournment motion on the urgent need to stop carbon project in the Kaveri Basin. All right, let's go back to our colleague Panchanan Mishra. Panchanan, in the pre-lunch session, we saw how important issues were raised, and 4 adjournment motions have also been given in the lower house. And as far as the legislative agenda is concerned, of course, in the post-lunch session, we will see the introduction of 2 key bills, including the Central Educational Institutions Reservation in Teachers' Cadres Bill, as well as the Dentist Amendment Bill.
Exactly, Aishwarya. First, there was a question hour in Lok Sabha, and after that, there was a 0 hour, and we saw a very smooth functioning of question hour. And in 0 hour, the matters, important matters were raised, and as we know that adjournment motion for that also was given. And the important the matter raised by Congress leader, the floor leader Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, was that why there is a reduction in interest rate in the small savings. This issue was raised, and the Congress was expecting a reply from the government. And also the other issues, like as you mentioned, the Jallianwala Bagh, the issue that was also raised. And if you talk about the post-lunch, then there is an important bill, which is a bill which provides 10% reservation in the higher education institute to economic weaker section. That is a very important bill, and before it there is a ordinance is in place, and there will be a rejection of ordinance, and the bill is listed here, and the bill is already passed by the bill is here in Lok Sabha, and it will be discussed. Nishank, who is HRD minister, he will place it, and it will be a very it may be a fruitful discussion, because many of our MPs in Lok Sabha were saying that they are going to participate in, and this is an important bill which is giving a constitutional provision of 10% reservation, and also a dental amendment bill, dental council amendment bill, where there will be no mandatoriness of this elected members in the council. There is a reform in this bill.
All right. Thank you so much, Panchanan, for all those updates there from Parliament. And so these were all the news related to the budget session. Let's get you some other news now. Well, as India faces a widespread water shortage in the country, the centre's Jal Shakti Abhiyaan will be launched across the country from today to accelerate water harvesting and conservation measures. Now, the scheme is aimed at making water conservation and the promotion of irrigation efficiency a mass movement through asset creation and communication campaigns. Jal Shakti Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat will launch the scheme from New Delhi. Now, the campaign is being organized in 2 phases this year. First, from 1st of July to 30th of September, and the second phase will run from 1st of October to 30th of November. Over 250 officers have been appointed as in charge of the water-stressed districts in the country to plan ways to conserve the natural resource. The ministry has appointed as a central Prabhari officers of 255 water-stressed districts for coordinating the Jal Shakti Abhiyaan.
लगभग 18% आबादी और 17% लाइव स्टॉक पॉपुलेशन धारण करता है, और दुनिया की केवल 4% पानी भारत में, इसलिए भारत की चुनौती और भी बड़ी है और भी गंभीर है। जिस तरह से भूजल का दोहन हो रहा है, और उस दोहन के साथ साथ में भूजल के पुनर्भरण की जिस तरह से की चिंता जिस तरह से कम की गई है, उसके कारण से स्थितियां और भी कठिन होती जा रही है, क्योंकि आज भी हमारा 60% इरिगेशन और लगभग 65% ड्रिंकिंग वाटर जो है सोर्स वो अर्बन वो जो है भूगर्भ के जल पर डिपेंडेंट है, इसलिए निश्चित रूप से चिंता का विषय है।
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who had said a few months ago that he would return with his monthly radio address Man Ki Baat after the elections on Sunday, credited the people for bringing him back. In his first address in the second edition of the monthly show Man Ki Baat, he said, "You were the ones who transformed yourselves into a pillar of trust." At a time when the water levels in India's major reservoirs and river basins have fallen, Prime Minister Modi pitched for the conservation of rainwater, saying that there is a pressing need to make it a mass movement on the lines of the cleanliness drive. The Prime Minister suggested 3 methods to save water. And emphasizing on the role to be played by the new Jal Shakti Ministry, PM Modi also urged Indians to share their ideas regarding water conservation using the hashtag Jan Shakti for Jal Shakti.
जल की महत्ता को सर्वोपरि रखते हुए देश में नया जल शक्ति मंत्रालय बनाया गया है। इससे पानी से संबंधित सभी विषयों पर तेजी से फैसले लिए जा सकेंगे। जल संरक्षण के लिए एक जन आंदोलन की शुरुआत करें। हम सब साथ मिलकर पानी की हर बूंद को बचाने का संकल्प करें। पानी की एक एक बूंद को बचाने के लिए एक जागरूकता अभियान की शुरुआत करें। इसमें पानी से जुड़ी समस्याओं के बारे में बताएं, साथ ही पानी बचाने के तरीकों का प्रचार प्रसार करें।
And speaking about the 2019 Lok Sabha elections, PM Modi said it was the largest democratic election in the world.
उड़ीसा में ग्रामीण इलाका ज्यादा है। उड़ीसा एकदम बहुत ही विकसित और ऐसा तो राज्य नहीं है भारत के जो जिन राज्यों को अभी भी विकास के राह में लाने के लिए मेहनत करनी पड़े, ऐसे राज्यों में
मैं कर दूं। And Prime Minister Modi also reminded people of the emergency and urged them not to take democracy for granted. He underlined the importance of democracy and electoral process. He also remembered those who fought during the emergency imposed by Indira Gandhi.
जब देश में आपातकाल लगाया गया, तब उसका विरोध सिर्फ राजनीतिक दायरे तक सीमित नहीं रहा था, राजनेताओं तक सीमित नहीं रहा था, जेल के सलाखों तक आंदोलन सिमट नहीं गया था। जन जन के दिल में एक आक्रोश था। सामान्य जीवन में लोकतंत्र के अधिकारों की क्या मजा है, वो तो तब पता चलता है जब कोई लोकतंत्र के अधिकारों को छीन लेता है। आपातकाल में देश के हर नागरिक को लगने लगा था कि उसका कुछ छीन लिया गया है।
And the annual Amarnath Yatra was flagged off from both Baltal and Pahalgam routes in Jammu and Kashmir this morning amid tight security. Now, to ensure the smooth passage of the Yatra convoys on the Srinagar-Jammu National Highway, the 300 additional companies of the security forces deployed for the conduct of the parliamentary polls in Kashmir have been retained and deployed for the security of the pilgrims. Radio frequency identification tags have also been affixed in all vehicles. Over 1.5 lakh pilgrims from across the country have so far registered themselves for the 46-day Yatra, which will conclude on 15th of August. And in more news from Jammu and Kashmir, 34 people have been killed and 22 others have been injured after a minibus fell into a gorge in Jammu and Kashmir's Kishtwar district today. Now, the bus was on its way to Kishtwar from Keshwan and it skidded off the road at Sirvagri and it rolled down into the gorge at around 7:30 this morning. Now, relief and rescue operation is underway and the injured are being shifted to the hospital. Prime Minister Narendra Modi called the incident as heart-wrenching. In a Twitter message, the Prime Minister said, "We mourn all those who lost their lives and express condolences to the bereaved families." Home Minister Amit Shah also condoled the deaths. In a tweet, he said, "Extremely saddened to hear about the loss of lives due to the road accident in Kishtwar in Jammu and Kashmir." Let's get to some other news now. The price of non-subsidized LPG was cut by over 100 rupees per cylinder on the back of softening of international market rates. Indian Oil Corporation in a statement said that the new rates will be effective from today. Now, the non-subsidized cooking gas in Delhi will be priced at 637 rupees per cylinder and the subsidized cooking gas price will be 494 rupees 35 paise per cylinder. And the second edition of Fit India Conclave was organized by Medscape India on the occasion of Doctors' Day in Delhi. And several doctors and celebrities took part in the conclave from all over the country. And Dr. Sunita Dubey, the chairperson of the Medscape India, said that the objective of the conclave was to bring together experts to deliberate on the strengths of the existing healthcare sector and to make India a healthy country. People who took part in the conclave expressed commitment to make the country healthy.
हेल्थ अवेयरनेस और बीमारियों से बचने के लिए और साथ में जुट के एकजुट होकर देश के हित में काम करने के लिए ये प्रोग्राम था और इसमें हेल्थ में स्पिरिचुअल से लेके मेंटल देन टेक्नोलॉजी स्टार्टअप artificial intelligence, from the media role in healthcare, then we had a yoga role in the healthcare, so scientifically medical role in the healthcare, so empowering overall 360 degree का ये approach है.
And Vice President Venkaiah Naidu also called upon the medical fraternity to create awareness among the people about health. He also urged the doctor community to treat the downtrodden sections with compassion and empathy.
I also compliment all the doctors for their service in building a healthy India, and I urge upon them to treat downtrodden sections with compassion and empathy. Doctors are always treated as next to God by the common people. So doctors, while serving the people, they should remember this and then give their best to the people. Not only sympathy, but there should be empathy also.
And now a look at the budget special series. Today we'll take a look at the electronics sector. Now, India manufactures electronic products worth $65 billion, and unlike several other sectors in the country, this sector has actually grown at a very good pace at the rate of 26% in a span of just 4 years. And ahead of the forthcoming budget, the electronics industry has spelled out its demands. Let's take a look.
India's electronics industry is emerging as a major disruptive force across multiple sectors. Electronics system and manufacturing designs have become a key factor driving growth and innovation. The industry wants the government to focus on investments in electronic component manufacturing. Besides, it is also seeking investment promotion in high-value added manufacturing segments. Given that electronics is also a key enabler in creating an intelligent economy like smart homes, smart transportation and smart cities, associations have urged the government to back efforts to create 50 intelligent electronics incubators.
We are not able to make the components and the semiconductors, the raw materials. That is where we require more investment, and we require we require more power. We need more finance. So I think these are basically the areas where the government has to support us.
The industry also wants an interest subsidy on term loans and working capital credit, direct tax benefits through lower corporate tax rate, and subsidies for employment generation and skill development. Further, to kickstart electronics exports and attract large domestic and foreign investments, it is recommending 200% deduction of trade fair expenses.
Benefits which are given to the industry should be based on value addition. And we need to promote the manufacturing of components, and parts in semiconductors. And a second thing is, the export promotion. Because I think in exports, India is still lagging behind, and there is a lot of scope in the global market, which we should try to exploit and take benefit of.
The government approved the National Electronics Policy 2019 to achieve a turnover of $400 billion for the electronics system design and manufacturing sector by 2025. It also estimates 1 crore jobs will be created in this period. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
International news now. US President Donald Trump returned to the White House on Sunday after becoming the first sitting US president to set foot in North Korea. Donald Trump met North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in the demilitarized zone, or the DMZ, between the two Koreas and agreed to resume the stalled nuclear talks. Trump and the North Korean leader posed for handshakes before talking for nearly an hour in the heavily fortified demilitarized zone. Both the countries agreed to set up teams to resume the stalled nuclear talks. Remember, their last summit broke down in the month of February with no progress on denuclearization in North Korea. And for a brief moment, Trump and Kim were joined by South Korean President Moon Jae-in, an unprecedented three-way gathering. The meeting was initiated by a spur-of-the-moment tweet by Donald Trump that Kim said took him by surprise. And after the meet, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said that fresh rounds of U.S.-North Korea talks are likely in July.
It'll happen, I guess, by the end of June still. We'll have this month, starting tomorrow. So sometime in July, probably the next 2 or 3 weeks, probably around the middle of the month would be my guess. And a place yet to be determined. But the teams will gather, they'll start working, they'll start exchanging ideas.
And now news from the ICC Cricket World Cup, where India suffered their first defeat after host England beat the men in blue by 31 runs at Edgbaston on Sunday. Now, chasing a huge target of 338 runs, India could only score 306 runs for the loss of 5 wickets in their stipulated 50 overs. For India, Rohit Sharma scored 111 runs, while captain Virat Kohli made 66 and Hardik Pandya scored 45 runs. Mohammad Shami took 5 wickets for 69 runs. And earlier electing to bat first, England made 337 for the loss of 7 wickets. Opener Johnny Bairstow registered his first World Cup century, scoring 111 runs. He was declared the man of the match. And now with 10 points from 8 matches, England has now moved to the 4th position in the tournament's standing. India remains at the 2nd spot with 11 points. However, India's defeat has made the race for the semi-finals very interesting. While India only need to win one of their next 2 matches, England and New Zealand face must-win game against each other. And talking about today's match, today Sri Lanka will play West Indies at Chesterley Street. The match will begin at 3 p.m. Indian time. And that is a wrap on this edition of Midday News. Thanks so much for your time.